Oh, I know why.
Okay.
I know why.
All right. Oh, you got us. You got us together. Okay. See, I know, there's people that are watching us. I want to say thank you to all of you that are our listening audience. Those, that know me, you could text me, text Dr. Glenn. Let us know if something is not on. And I just really appreciate it. It's not all just fun and games, on these shows. It has to be put together. There has to be some gifting, some talent, and some effort put into putting the shows together. Dr. Glenn does a great job with a lot of times bringing, our subject matter and, researching a lot of things. Sometimes I do it, but he does it, a lot too. And we don't want to be up here for an hour. Our mouths moving and there is no sound.
That's right, but I just figured out what occurred. That was my fault.
Okay, so we have to have, I like to have, I don't like to waste. It seems like it could be a waste of time sometimes, because the message is not getting out to people. So I just want to say thank you to all of our listening audience, and those of you, if you catch us and you see that something's not on, send us a message. Get in the comments.
I just discovered something today. I was trying to think, but I couldn't hear anything. Speaking about hearing, but I just mentioned that because I found out something today, driving in. And that's on speaking. I know a lot of different things about speaking and how your voice, when you're singing, you have to do certain things to maintain that voice. Singing and speaking is integral, both. You have to do a lot of exercises. But what I found out was, particularly for males, if you have a mustache, that affects your speaking and singing ability because it diminishes the audio because of your mustache. Did you know that?
I did not know that. And is the mustache getting in the way?
That's it.
Or just having a mustache is it, or it's because the mustache is down towards the mouth?
That's exactly what it is. So the person I was speaking about was saying, you have to make sure your mustache is groomed in a way that it doesn't affect your speaking or singing ability. But I'm going to do a little bit more research on that when I get home.
Well, what about the women that have a mustache?
I'm allergic to those.
I had to ask. Because sometimes we can get a little one, growing there. We got to get it off.
But I only said that because what you just said now. I do know sometimes you have to take vocal rest or vocal breaks because you have to speak, and taking vocal breaks and vocal rest helps to improve your voice. Like Mariah Carey, for instance, she has that fifth octave, that breaking class register. That's what they call a whistle register. But she has that because she always constantly take vocal breaks. So I don't want to get away from our topic of discussion today, but I just wanted to mention that. And there's one more thing. That range, that whistle register, that fifth octave, that's only found in females. No other human species, only in females. So every female has that singing ability.
Has a sing. And Dr. Glenn, I used to sing, and I always told my husband that I was the best of the worst. I was the best one out of the worst.
So in other words, you had to do all your songs in sign language?
No, I used to sing. Now, I'm not no soloist. That's where the problem comes in. I'm not anybody's soloist, but I can carry a tune in a bucket. I can get past it. If nobody else is there and they ask me to do something, I may be able to get past it. But that's been many years ago, Dr. Glenn.
No comment. I would like to play that brief audio, Glenn, for Brain Injury Awareness Month 2026. Then I'll give it back to Apostle.
Yes, let's kick it off.
Typically, brain injuries are acquired in accidents or sports-related activities. March is Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness Month. Most people have an understanding of what a traumatic brain injury is. Typically, brain injuries are acquired in accidents or sports-related activities. 1.5 million to 3.5 million people suffer some form of brain injury every single year in the United States. Over 5 million people are living with permanent brain injury deficits that are impacting their lives and causing disability. The odds are pretty good that you may know somebody who has suffered a traumatic brain injury and maybe has recovered most of their function, but they might be living with some effects of that injury even today. During Brain Injury Awareness Month, take a moment to learn a little bit about traumatic brain injury.
I'm glad he mentioned that because, Apostle, that's my case. Because of my accident in 2010, and my brain injury is permanent, and I have a permanent disability. June of 2024, I went to see my neurologist. He replaced my previous neurologist. So he said, Mr. Jonson, I want to go over the last CAT scan that your previous neurologist ordered. I want to show you something. So he put it on the monitor. We're watching the monitor. I'm like, yeah, what is that? He said that region that I'm pointing to, that was the right side of my region, my right front temporal lobe. It was all black. Everything else was like a grayish white matter. My right front temporal lobe was black. He said 1/4 or 1/4 of your brain is permanently damaged, in addition to my cerebellum being permanently damaged.
Wow, Dr. Glenn, that is definitely something. But, we're grateful and, thankful to God for his grace and mercy.
That's
There's
right,
a lot of
that's
people
right.
that are impaired, and we know you have an impairment, but not totally disabled.
Not to the extent of some other people.
Yes, and there's some that are, hey, we're getting ready to go out on our first break on today. If you would like to call in and be live on the air with me and Dr. Glenn, you can call in to the studio today. The phone number is 252-756-2008. If you have something that you would like to add, you can call in and be live with us on the air today. Hey, we're talking about traumatic brain injury or Brain Injury Awareness Month, and we have some interesting things for you. Hang on in there and come right back with us. Awesome Radio.
Awesome Radio.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Keller Pippin's mother from Awesome Radio.
Awesome Radio. Yes, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you feel it. Awesome. Awesome.
Coming soon to this network, mental health and substance use addiction. What is your conviction? Hello, my name is Apostle Gary Lee, and I'm a licensed clinical addiction specialist and the pastor of Spirit and Truth Worship Center. I will be the host, bringing you insight on the challenges of mental illness and substance use addiction and how they affect our communities. We will explore ways to address these issues with explaining treatment methods and spiritual enlightenment. I invite you to join us every Friday at 10 a.m. right here on this network. If you have any questions or would like to contribute or be a guest, please reach out to me via email at apostlegarylee@gmail.com. Again, that's apostlegarylee@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing you and engaging with you concerning these issues, and I pray that God bless you and heaven continue to shine upon you.
Awesome Radio.
Hello, my name is Tracy, and you're listening to Awesome Radio. Thank you.
Awesome Radio. Yes, awesome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Awesome Radio, to the Glenn Jonson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. I just wanted to briefly say something very quick. I was starting to laugh a few minutes ago as we were going out to break because I observed Apostle watch the clock very carefully because she wanted to time herself and get to the break most appropriately. I was seeing you, Apostle. I saw that.
And, sometimes people are watching. They might wonder what we're laughing at sometime, or we look and do it quite often. It's a timing thing. It's something that you have to work with to get on the breaks. We don't, one thing here, we don't want dead air time. And I want to sometimes, the break is talking over me. I'm still trying to get the words out. But I hit it right on this time. So it's definitely a gifting and a talent. It's something with this. It's not something that everybody can do, Dr. Glenn.
You did it right on time. Now, I want to give everybody a brief synopsis of what's going to take place here on the Glenn Jonson Show, Motivations with Glenn, for Brain Injury Awareness Month 2026. We have guests lined up for the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th, and so we'll probably get one or two more. We're going to be discussing things as brain injury, TBI, traumatic brain injury, as well as ABI, acquired brain injury. Also, brain injury and stroke. Could you have a brain injury? Well, some people have a brain injury because of their stroke condition. Also, I would like to focus on CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which can only be diagnosed once you're deceased and they perform an autopsy. There's a lot of football players that have suspected of having CTE from concussions. So we'll be getting to concussions too. But as far as the NFL players that live here locally in Greenville, I'll have to shorten some of the information on that because they were advised by their attorneys not to discuss anything about their situation until their case is resolved. So that's a quick synopsis of what's going to take place. Apostle.
Hey, and so we want you to we want you to catch us weekly as we're in Brain Injury Awareness Month. I wanted to say this, that we have to definitely make sure that we're being careful, out there. There are many things that can cause a traumatic brain injury or an acquired brain injury. And a lot of times I don't think we just walk around, dealing with life and whatever, and we don't understand that sometimes other people have suffered, from having an acquired brain injury or traumatic brain injury, and their lives are never the same.
That's right.
Their lives are never the same. And some of the same conditions that may have fit us, we didn't end up with the same results.
Yeah, and I'm particularly an advocate for our school-age children. And just like the NFL players or any football player, a concussion can occur. It has been said that a football player, for instance, the average football player, when they're hit by their opponent, is the equivalent of being in 3 car accidents.
Yes, and how many of us, listening and looking at that, how many of us really could look at our life and say that we've never fallen and hit our head? Everybody has. We've bumped it on the cabinet, used some colorful words when we hit it.
That's right. And also, shaken baby syndrome. That was developed because they found that, I'm not going to say a mother, but in general, a parent. If you shake the baby, what they're doing is, what's actually happening is the brain is just suspended in fluid inside the skull. If you shake the baby, the brain is just bouncing up against the skull, and that's what caused shaken baby syndrome.
You are definitely right. So that's one of the things is never shake a baby. And also, I'm just going to say this and add it to the shaking baby. Don't leave your baby with somebody that's questionable. If you see that person has anger issues with you, they're not taking care of you, or especially if they told you they don't want the baby. If they told you they don't want the baby, don't leave your baby with that.
If you're getting a babysitter so you can go to church, you have to stop and ask yourself, why aren't you going to church?
And know who you're leaving the baby with.
Yeah.
Know that these people have good sense, because sometimes people just don't make good decisions. They're inattentive, or they're attentive while you're present, and then as soon as you go on, they're inattentive. Who are you leaving your baby with? You are your baby's first line of defense, mothers or fathers. If you're taking care of the baby, make sure that you're leaving the baby with someone that's responsible.
Now, we're not going to get to all the documents today, but we still have the entire month of March. And like I said, we have guests coming on throughout the month. But I just want to mention briefly, Governor John Stein has issued a proclamation declaring March Brain Injury Awareness Month for the state of North Carolina. Apostle's getting that document on now, Apostle.
Yes, I wanted to finish this course that I was of just a couple of statements that I'm making, and then I'll get right to that, Dr. Glenn. I wanted to say to our listening audience that the brain, and we know how important the brain is, but it's the central command of the body. That when you injure the brain, you're going to injure something in a way that's going to affect something in the body. And so we have to protect it. We have to make sure that we're doing whatever it takes to protect it. Don't be reckless with it. The brain regulates bodily functions. It regulates the emotions, the behavior. It can also regulate your heart rate and breathing. So, you know, an injury to a certain part of the brain can affect your ability to breathe or your heart rate. And you have to watch those things. And I had it here, just one little thing to wrote down here, that brain death is legally and medically defined as death. So you injure that brain so badly, or something happens to the brain where it's injured badly enough, you'll be considered brain dead, and it's legally and medically death. That you know, you could still be there looking just like everything else is fine, but that brain.
That's absolutely correct. We have 2 minutes for this particular segment. Then when we go out to break, we'll be back with our final 20 minutes. But I want Apostle to look up something and get prepared. Can you have a brain injury and not know it in North Carolina? We have a document on that. Apostle, I'll give you a copy. And then I want you to find one for brain structure, because all the females are going to love this one. The brain structure, because there's a part of the female brain where they talk about one region of the brain of females, how it affects females, which is why females can multitask better than males. So all the females are going to love that when we get to it.
And so we want to look at the state of North Carolina, Josh Stein, Governor, Brain Injury Awareness Month for 2026 by the Governor of the state of North Carolina, a proclamation. And it has a lot of things here that I could read off concerning the proclamation, but Josh Stein, the governor of the state of North Carolina, has done the proclamation for March as Brain Injury Awareness Month. And it has the little seal on there and everything. It's something to think about, you know, especially a lot of times, you know, people may not have a traumatic brain injury, but more common, you may see the acquired brain injury where people have had strokes and those different things. We'll see that sometimes more with older people than we do with the younger generation.
That's right. And I just recently learned, besides myself being a member of the North Carolina Brain Injury Advisory Council and a member of the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina, there's also another gentleman that handles the Greenville area, and I'm going to reach out to him. We're going to stay in contact. We're going to try to do some things together because the association realized there's some needs in Greenville, North Carolina for people with brain injuries. So we're going to stay in contact with that and give you more information. Apostle?
Yes, we're getting ready to go out on one more break. And again, you can call in. Maybe you have and you know someone that has had an acquired brain injury through a stroke or through a traumatic brain injury, even children. If you have something that you'd like to share with us, you can call and be right here live on the air with me and Dr. Glenn. But know that you will be on the air. Hey, we'll be right back after this moment. This is Awesome Radio. We'll be right back in a moment.
Hello, my name is Daniel from Greenville. We appreciate you for listening to Awesome Radio.
Awesome Radio, yes, awesome, awesome, can you feel it? Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Jonson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. Apostle mentioned about the children. I want to give you some information about my grandson. Well, now I have one grandson. I had two, but my grandson, one of my grandsons was 14 months old when my son called me. He said, "Dad, I had to call 911 for Caleb to get Caleb to the hospital." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I think Caleb had a seizure." Well, before it became ECU, it was still Vidant. So once they got him to Vidant, their initial examination revealed not only did he have a seizure, he also had a stroke and a cancerous brain tumor. They was able to go in and remove 90% of the tumor, and of course he stayed in the hospital for quite a while. But once he was discharged and got home, I looked at the wound where they went in his head to remove 90% of that tumor. His injury or post-surgery looked just like the right side of my head. But unfortunately, he passed at 2 years old. So I said, well, God didn't give us what we wanted. God gave us what we needed. It's called him home to be with the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I said he's in a better place now.
Definitely. And if you start having seizures, then that's something you definitely need to see the doctor about, because you don't know what is going on inside and you need to be checked out. You need some scans to see what's going on in your brain. Dr.
I'm probably not going to get to this document because we got 2 other documents we want to get to. But this is a fact. Can you have a seizure while having a stroke? The answer to that question is yes, because blood is administered from your brain. That's what causes a seizure simultaneously as having a stroke.
Yes, you definitely can. And you may not be able to tell. I mean, there are some differences, but, if they're happening simultaneously, you may have some symptoms on one side and some on the other concerning the seizure and the stroke. But if you look, that person's not able to talk, or they're in a position where they're not responding, call 911. Don't wait, because it could be either one. And like I said, make sure you get to don't say, well, it's over with now, I'm just going to go back to normal. No, something's going on in your body. You need to call or get to the doctor and get some scans and see what's going on.
Like this, I do a lot of speaking engagements for first responders, including police officers. How could you tell if a person had a seizure? Well, if you can approach them, ask them to stick out their tongue, you will observe the edges of their tongue. Now, I want to clarify a myth. It is impossible to swallow your tongue during a seizure. It's medically impossible and humanly impossible. People have always heard that over the years. He's having a seizure, he's swallowing his tongue. No, you cannot swallow your tongue. But if you can get to that person and approach that person, ask that person to stick out their tongue, you want to observe the edges of their tongue. You want to look for irritation. It's what they call chewing of the tongue. You can't bite your tongue, but you have irritation along the edges of your tongue, which will indicate that that person had a seizure. Apostle, remember you were driving a student home?
I'm sorry?
Remember that you told me about the time you was driving a student home, and she bit her tongue so bad, blood was gushing out of her mouth.
Oh, I don't know. That might have not been me, Dr. Glenn. That
Yeah,
was
that
one
was
of the
you.
other cooks.
That was you.
Was it me?
That was you.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't remember. I could have.
Are you
said
serious?
It. I could have said it. Now, I do remember a man having a seizure years ago, and it was my first time away from home, Dr. Glenn, and I was scary. I really was. I was I never left. I always had my family with me, and I was on the Greyhound bus. And the bus did a layover. And, back then, those chairs in the bus station were back to back.
Yeah,
some were facing this way, but they were back to back. You could turn to the side and look at the person behind you. And I was sitting there, and a man came and sat right behind me, and he yelled out and screamed loud. And I didn't know what was going on, Dr. Glenn. And I'm telling you, I'm scared to death because it's my first time away from home. I'm by myself and I don't know what to do. And he screamed and he fell out on the floor. Look, when I found myself, I was all the way across that bus station with all my bags. And I was looking back at what happened because it scared me so bad. I was already scary. Yeah. And so he was having a seizure. And they got him. And I remember seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. Put baking soda, and, somebody wanted to put baking soda in his mouth. I don't know what that was, but put baking soda. The man is literally having a seizure, and they're putting baking soda. But I'll never forget that particular incident because I had no clue about I couldn't help him.
Well, it is suggested if a person having a seizure, just let them come out of the seizure as you're waiting for a 911. Rescuers to arrive. do not put anything in that person's mouth, because what would happen if that person was to swallow and choke to death? So therefore, do not put anything in a person's mouth if they're having a seizure.
Yes, and I think that's what they wanted, to put it in with a spoon. I don't know what lady just came up with that, but I didn't know how to help them. They did call 911,
Yeah.
and I was watching when they took him away and everything.
But see, once again, this is something that people are heard over the years. Put a spoon in the mouth, let them bite down on something. No, do not put anything in that person's mouth at all.
Yes, and let me tell you, Dr. Glenn, I remember after it was over, it was like 30 minutes, they had taken the man away. There were some people laughing, and, you know, they came over where I was, they were laughing, and I'm like thinking to myself, what are they laughing at? And I did. I asked them, they started talking to me, and they was like, and I was like, well, what's so funny? And they said, you? And I was like, me? And they said, the way you got up and ran across that place, they were still laughing at me because I didn't even pay attention. You know, when you're afraid, you just up and gone. You don't care about how you look. But they were laughing at me, Dr. Glenn.
She was puny.
Yeah, I did. And I had all these bags, and I was right across that place and didn't drop one of them.
There's nothing faster than puny. She was puny.
There's nothing wrong with a good run. If you don't know, you can live another day by running. Running away is okay.
All right, we're down to our last 2 minutes of this particular segment. Then we'll be back with our final 10 minutes as we're gearing up for two documents. One, can you have a brain injury in North Carolina? The other one is the brain structure. The one I want to get to, the part with the females.
Yes, definitely. Can you have a brain injury and not know it in North Carolina? Now, why did they put in North Carolina? Well, you could have a brain injury in Texas and not know it. You probably could have a brain injury anywhere and not know it. Why did they say in North Carolina?
You can, but I wanted to narrow down to North Carolina. So
okay,
that was my doing.
Okay, because I'm like, who? Yeah, okay. So here we are. Can you have a brain injury and not know it? It says, yes, many people who have problems such as poor memory, difficulty in learning, and behavioral issues are unaware they are experiencing symptoms resulting from an unidentified traumatic brain injury. It can be. It can be. And sometimes you could just have a bad memory. Sometimes you need some help.
And now it's my understanding the Brain Injury Association and the North Carolina Brain Injury Advisory Council, they are combining both the TBI and the ABI together. Mm-hmm. The traumatic brain injury and the acquired brain injury together is all a brain injury.
Well, definitely if you start having symptoms after you know you've had an impact, a fall or something has slammed on your head or something, you know that there's a way that someplace that you have been injured along the way, and you start having those symptoms, you definitely need to be checked out to see if you have a brain injury.
That's right, because, you know, it's always advisable to get a CAT scan, MRI of your head to find out what's going on.
Yes, and we're going to talk just a little bit more about that when we come back, because there are people that have had, and also people that had the acquired, they've had strokes and didn't know it.
That's right.
There's people that had strokes and they go and find it later on the scan. They go for something else and they do a scan and find out they've had a stroke.
That's right.
So we'll be right back after this break. Come on back, and we have a few more things to tell you. You're going to be interested. This is Motivations with Glenn, and you're listening to us right here on Awesome Radio with Dr. Glenn Jonson and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins.
Awesome Radio Network is gearing up for our annual Mother's Day and Father's Day gift bag giving for the residents at McGregor Downs Health Center. $10 will sponsor one bag. If you would like to donate towards this community event, contact us 252-756-3137, and together we can show the love of Jesus, encourage and brighten the hearts of the residents during their stay at the McGregor Downs Health Center, Greenville. Donor's name, organization can be attached to the cards if desired. To learn more about this annual community event, contact us at 252-756-3137. That's 252-756-3137. 3137. We are a 501c3 organization under Community Care Fellowship doing business as Awesome Radio Network, where God gets the glory.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show here on Awesome Radio, WECU, 1570 AM, 107.5 FM, Winterville, Greenville, North Carolina. Apostle was reading Can You Have a Brain Injury and Not Know It in North Carolina. And then she also has brain structure. Apostle.
Yes, so yes, it is possible to have a traumatic brain injury and not know it, even in North Carolina, as symptoms can be subtle or delayed, and some TBIs may not involve a loss of consciousness. And that's where a lot of times I think people can make the mistake, because they expect that if you have a traumatic brain injury that you're going to lose consciousness. Not always. Sometimes you could be absolutely fine and look fine, and you absolutely have an injury. And I want to say to, everyone that's listening on today, don't go long periods of time with a long nagging headache.
That's right.
Don't just sit. Oh, I've had a headache for 3 days. No, you need to get up and see what's going on. You could be having an aneurysm. You could be having something a brain injury in some way, another acquired brain injury. And I see a lot of people, in the past that I've known, Dr. Glenn, that have had headaches. They have that high blood pressure. Don't sit and let your pressure be up for long periods of time, because that also is one of the things that could cause you to have a brain injury, an acquired brain injury.
Yeah. And speaking of aneurysm, a friend of mine, his daughter constantly had a headache. She went to lay down one day to relieve her headache and never woke up.
That's what I'm saying. Don't just lay down. Make sure that you are getting something taken for it. Don't lay down and just act like, even going to bed at night. Don't go to bed at night with a headache. I'm just going to go to sleep. Get something for that headache to pull that pain down and interrupt, that pain going to your brain. Make sure that you look after yourself, because you don't know how things can progress, and overnight something can become ugly. As like Dr. Glenn said, you had a brain bleed or something happening in your brain, and you slept right on through it and didn't even know it.
Absolutely. It's something not to take lightly. Like Apostle said earlier, get yourself checked out, because you might think one thing and something else could be occurring.
I've seen also people on the way to the hospital with the worst headache of their life and didn't make it there because they had the aneurysm on the way or on the side of the road. So make sure that you don't go long periods. Go get it checked out. Who cares what they think? They say, oh, you just had a headache and send you back home. Well, I'm going back home with my headache.
Yeah, but you might go back home and the aneurysm might bust or explode, and you will never see the light of day again.
That's right. So it said the resources in North Carolina, the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina can provide information and support. And I want to say this, that someone that is very close to me has an acquired brain injury, and they had a stroke and an aneurysm, and it has rendered their body, they're paralytic from it. They're quadriplegic from it. So you don't want to be in a position where you can handle something, especially take your medication. Don't say, well, I can't afford it. If you can't afford your medicine, you need to be asking somebody, because those blood pressure medicines and things are going to keep your blood pressure down to stop you from having an event.
And I just want to point out that a brain injury is the invisible epidemic or pandemic or injury. It has no shape, it has no color, it has no odor, it has nothing. You can't see a brain injury. And a brain injury is also different in everybody. Your brain injury might be very, very different from another person. It might be similar effects, but it is very, very different in everybody.
Yes, and don't throw it away. If the doctor is talking to you about certain things with your health, those things that could lead, like the high blood pressure and those different things that could lead to an aneurysm or a acquired brain injury, don't act like it's not happening. oh, that's all right. Everybody has high blood pressure. Well, you don't know if you're going to be the one that's going to have something that comes from it. Maybe
That's
everybody
right.
else can walk around and do that, but I'm not taking or playing Russian roulette.
Your blood pressure and your cholesterol. I just had this conversation with a medical advisor today from my medical insurance company, and we're talking about blood pressure and cholesterol.
So,
So you have to keep that under control.
so we're talking about brain structure here. We're moving on to another document that Dr. Glenn wanted me to talk about, and he wanted to talk about something that's positive towards women.
Especially on the second page. It's on the second page. I
It's on
highlighted
the
it.
second page? Okay.
I highlighted it.
On the second page. Let me see. I see something highlighted on the front.
Is it on the front?
Yeah, it's the front page.
Okay.
And it says, what is the difference between male and female brain? The male and the female brain. The neuron activity is dramatically different in the two genders. Male brains see most of their neuron activity firing front to back within
yeah.
one hemisphere of the brain with little overlap. So that means that men are one-sided,
Yeah.
narrow-minded,
Like women always say.
segregated.
Just a hot mess.
Yeah, all on one side. There's no communication with the other side of the brain. That it brings some problems, believe me, I know. And here we are. It says male brains see most of their neuron activity firing front to back within each hemisphere of the brain with little overlap. And it says girls' brains have less hemisphere isolation. Didn't I say that word? I said segregation, isolation.
You sure did.
Yes, just restrictions. That's what it is, Dr. Glenn.
Yeah.
And it says girls' brains have less hemisphere isolation and instead have much more cross-hemisphere neuron activity. This may explain why girls can multitask better.
He does something.
It is something, and it's really a positive thing. I've always known this. I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't know how to put it. I didn't know how to explain it, but here it is in
But
black and white.
And that's probably why females are much more suitable for as caregivers and taking care of children and things like that, because they think totally different.
Yeah, and we do. We definitely can multitask. I always say this, Dr. Glenn, it's not a proven fact, but it's just one of those things that's my opinion, that men can bowl better than women because they have that one part of the brain that they only use, and it's only one option when bowling. You just throw it right down the aisle. If it had to have two different options and you had to make more than one decision, then women, I think, would be beating men when it comes to bowling.
And that's why I said what I said earlier. You know, men and women are totally different, particularly when it comes to the brain. And women do things a lot differently and think differently because of their brain. There's different things going on in the structure of their brain that's not going on in the male brain.
Yes.
So hats off to all the females.
Well, and I don't want to just leave it like that because there's some men that can multitask over women. You
That's
know what I
right,
mean? It
that's
depends on the individual,
Yeah.
too. So we don't want to just leave it there that all men, but we're just talking about the structure of the brain being different.
That's right. It's like, that's why brain injury is different in everybody, because your brain might be affected in one way where a person's other brain is not. One last thing I want to mention before I give it back to Apostle is that doctors realize this also. And they used to say, well, this was remarkable or this was unexpected. They never wanted to use the word miracle. But now doctors are using the word miracle, particularly the doctors that are religious.
Yes, that is true. But they're now able to say it. I remember my mother and them asking, they said, we need a miracle. I heard the doctor say that. He was letting us know that it didn't look good.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, I want to say to our ladies out there, when you see a male doing something different, you could be surprised at him and say, oh, you're finally using the other portion of your brain.
That could be correct. That could be what he's doing.
Starting to use the part that's been dormant. The part that's been... No, I'm not going to keep going, Dr. Glenn. I've made enough jokes about that today.
Well, we'll have next week on the 11th. We'll have a guest on the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. We'll have a couple of different things to mention and talk about. So please join us through the month of March as we continue Brain Injury Awareness Month 2026, our possible ending broadcast.
Hey, is this the end, Dr. Glenn?
Yes.
Oh, hey, we want you to come back next week and be right here. We have some good information for you.
Awesome Radio.
Hello, my name is Dr. Wiley Nifong. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio.
Oh.
Awesome Radio. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you feel it. Awesome. Awesome.
Youth Explosion at A Touch of God's Presence Ministries, 1300 Dickinson Avenue, Greenville, empowering the next generation. March 14th, beginning 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Guest speakers Elijah Mitchell and Elder Alvin Watkins. Everyone is invited to attend. For more information, contact us 252-427-2892 or 252-695-9007. Host Pastor Apostle Valeria McLeod. Youth Explosion, empowering the next generation. March 14th, beginning 2 p.m. at A Touch of God's Presence Ministries, 1300 Dickinson Avenue, Greenville.
Awesome Radio.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Killer Pippin's mother from Awesome Radio.
Awesome Radio. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you feel it. Awesome. Awesome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. I aired previously, so this is our final 10 minutes rather than what I just said a few minutes ago. So this is our final 10 minutes of today's broadcast. I'm going to give it back over to Apostle. Apostle, I think she's ready with another document.
I am Dr. Glenn, and listen, I'm glad that it wasn't the end, because that would have ended badly.
Yeah.
On me.
Talking about that male brain.
Oh, yeah. And then us, I was stumbling for a second there because I knew it wasn't the end. But anyhow, we got it together, and we have 10 more minutes here. I want to mention a couple of things, 2 more documents that I feel like they're very important. And one of them says that a brain injury is a form of invisible disability, that once your brain is injured, people, your body may look okay for some people, but your brain can be disabled. And unless you can see that sometimes, you may not be able to tell that a person has a disability just by looking at them, straight ahead.
And because of that, let me explain something about myself. So my medical doctors, they're always concerned about me falling. Every time I have an appointment, well, Mr. Johnson, have you had a fall in the past week or past 2 weeks, blah, 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 blah. Have you ever fell? No. And I know why they ask that question. With me, I don't have normal sensation in my right foot. And as far as my voice, I have paralysis in my vocal cords and my larynx. And that's in addition to what they had to do to even get my voice back. This is not my natural voice, as you can tell. My voice was, when they removed my tracheotomy, it left my vocal cords, my vocal folds, and my windpipe all fused together shut. So they had to go down my throat with a laser and slice it all back open. I also have some paralysis in my fingers. Apostle, if you look at my right hand, see how my fingers are, all 10 of my fingers used to look like claws. But they got better over time because of my accident happened in 2010. So that's quite a significant time. But you see my thumb is still protruding out. They all used to look like claws.
Yes, and that's what we see a lot of times with people, especially with the acquired brain injury and the stroke, that their body will be what I call atrophied, like their muscles just are locked into place.
Yeah, like restricted.
Yeah, so that you can move and that you're up and around. I'm just saying to anybody, not just Dr. Glenn, if you've been through something traumatic like that and you are able to move, you better give God and thank God for it, because there's a lot of people that are in a different situation.
And that's another reason why I'm so glad to be on the radio and to share my experience and talk about different topics, because I really, really appreciate Mr. Keela Thickpen McCardle for allowing me to have a voice on the radio, because glory be to God, because I am a survivor.
Yes, and there's a lot of people that wouldn't be able to do it, that have had the same, you know, and they wouldn't be able to do it. So we're grateful that you are able to function and be able to have your own radio show. That's a blessing. That's one of the things that I think, you know, when I first met you was very interesting. I was like, well, I've got to stop and look at this. I got to give God, what am I whining about?
Yeah.
I have nothing to be whining about, nothing to be complaining about.
And you know what? This is one of the reasons why I was chosen to speak at the crisis intervention training for police officers, because the facilitator, after I speak, he would tell all the officers, see, this is one reason why I chose Dr. Jonson to come speak to you guys, because, see, as you can tell, you know, brain injury is totally different. Some things you might expect it to see, you don't see. And some things that you thought of, you don't see that in Dr. Jonson.
Yes, I wanted to just make mention of this one last thing before we get ready to close, because our minutes are ticking down. I wanted to talk about where it talked about playground safety. Oh, we've got a caller calling in. We're going to put our caller on the air.
Caller, you are live on the air on the Glenn Johnson Show.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Johnson and Pastor Williams. How y'all doing today?
All right, we're doing great, sir. How are you?
Good, good. This Pepperman, of course.
Yeah, Pepperman, I know.
Y'all got a good topic going on there, because brain damage is very, very, very serious thing. It ain't something you can play with.
No, it's not.
And I will advise anybody to watch their cholesterol level and blood pressure.
That's right. Those are, yeah.
That causes a heart attack, and if your heart stops for a certain time, there's no oxygen going to your brain. So that causes brain damage right there, and sometimes your brain don't ever recover from it. So that's a very good topic.
And Pepperman, I'm glad you said that, because you just brought something to my attention. So at the onset of my accident, while I was in a coma on life support for 2 years, one of the things in my medical records that it mentioned, in addition to being comatose and being on life support, it said that patient is cardiac arrest, VFib. So the VFib means there was no electrical current going through my body at all. They actually had pronounced me dead for a couple of minutes.
That's right. I had a brother that goes through the same thing, and he was brain dead for a whole year, and he never did recover from it.
Yeah.
So you're a blessed man, and you've got a testimony there.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We have 3 minutes to go for the remainder of the broadcast. I want to thank the caller for calling in. We're going to get the last 3 minutes done with Apostle.
Okay. Y'all be blessed.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for calling in, Pepperman. We'd love to hear his input. That's one of our regular callers.
That's right.
We're going to have to reserve a little spot and ask when we don't hear him on, say, where is Pepperman?
Yeah. Well, we'll try to get him on the air to have a topic also.
Oh, yeah. We're going to bring him on one of our shows here so that we can talk about the importance of media. Do you know how far and stretched and how many people are encouraged and how many people are informed by this particular platform?
That's right. And I just realized something. I did talk to Pepperman before, whose name is Michael, by the way.
Yes.
And because of his work schedule, he'll probably have to come on your show on Saturdays.
That'll be fine. We're going to get it together here, and before the end of March, we'll get it together on a Saturday when you're available as well, Dr.
Yeah.
Glenn, and we'll bring him in and bring him on my show, and we'll have him there, because I'm telling you, it's to find good people that are faithful, that are on, and they're helping to build with you. That's a positive thing. You know.
Well, you know, my schedule is open for anything that has to do with Awesome Radio. So my schedule's open. We'll make it happen.
Yes, definitely. We're going to have some interesting things here. We have several other documents that we didn't get to, but I was going to talk about playground safety. And I just wanted to say to you parents and those that are taking care of children at daycares and different places, make sure that there's a residual surface. And the state usually has a certain amount of inches that residual surface has to be. It has to be a certain amount thick.
Yeah.
And I think it's 7 inches. I think that's what it was years ago when I used to do daycare. It had to be 7 inches that, the wood chips or whatever it was that was there. And those things help to cushion a fall for a child. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Children come flying off high, they're on the high, slide and monkey bars and different things. And, they can be swinging around and end up flying off of it. And that residual surface is so important.
And let's try to keep our children safe at all costs.
That's right. And I've seen some that I thought had brain injuries. They didn't move right away. And I felt like they needed to go to the hospital.
You're probably right. This is another reason why they have changed some directives in North Carolina. Now, if a child is taken to the emergency room, they just want to examine their head for a cut. They actually want to examine for a brain injury.
That is good because they definitely need it. And sometimes people grow up and they're never right, and we don't understand why. And it's because it happened while they were a child.
While they were a child, that's correct.
That's right.
So this is why directives have been changed in the state of North Carolina to observe things better in the emergency room when there's a child in the emergency room.
That's right. Hey, we're down and we're getting ready at the end of this hour here. We're getting ready to close this show. Hey, we want you to come back next week and be right here for our guest and for our topic. This is the Glenn Jonson Show on Awesome Radio. See you next week.